About 4 months ago, I deleted all social media other than YouTube, and let me tell you, it has done wonders in my life for how I feel every day, how I wake up, how I carry myself. It has done amazing things. Social media had many negative effects in my life, and I'll get more into what those effects are later in the story. But to start with, I would wake up or I'd be going to sleep and I'd be checking social media and I would get so worked up about the current events in the world with everything happening in Israel and all the genocides and wars, and it would fill me with so much hate for the evil people in this world, and it was genuinely negatively affecting my life. And secondly, it would trigger my lustful flesh. There is so much sexualizing of women on social media, and it would trigger me to want to sexualize women, and that's just not what I want in my life, nor how I want to carry myself. So I had to get rid of it, and I've been off it for about 4 months, and it feels great. Recently, I've come to notice some similarities in social media and biblical sin, and I want to cover some of those today. And I want to cover why I think social media is bad. But before comparing it to sin and religious ideals, here's some things outside of religious ideals as to why I think it's bad. First of all, it promotes laziness. I know this because I've been stuck in this firsthand, especially being someone who struggles with depression and not being able to do much with their life because of my disabilities. I've been stuck for weeks in ruts before of just scrolling TikTok or Instagram shorts or stuff like that all day long. From the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, I don't leave my bed, I don't do anything but scroll. And let me tell you, it makes me feel like dog shit. It is one of the worst feelings I have ever felt. Is just after a day of frying your brain on this short form content, which is way too much content for a brain to handle in the first place, but we'll get into that. It just makes you feel terrible. And secondly, this stuff is engineered to be addicting. So if you feel like you relate to this and that you've been stuck in this loop, don't blame yourself for it. Don't get hard on yourself for it. This stuff, people sit in office buildings in the biggest cities in the world and debate over how to make this stuff more or less addicting. And I mean, it not less addicting, how to make it more addicting. And if you fall victim to that, it's not your fault, it's the system's fault. And then it sexualizes both women and men. And it gives false ideals of what you should be looking for in a partner. Especially with all these fake relationships you see, or all the hookup culture you see with these live streamers and stuff like that. It's giving you false ideas of what you want in a relationship, and not actually showing you what real life is like. And if you carry those false ideals into a real relationship, you're in for some trouble. So it's best to just stay as far away from that stuff as possible. And then most of it worships money, wealth, power, fame. I mean, all you see is these guys talking about the fastest way to make money, or flexing their Rolexes and their nice cars. And if that's not something that you're going to achieve in your lifetime, or if that's something that you feel like you're missing out on, let me tell you, first of all, you're not. The money's not going to fix anything in your life. And second of all, most of these guys are faking it. Most of these guys are still basically living paycheck to paycheck, and just buying or renting this stuff, or putting themselves in crazy debt for clicks and views. And that brings me to my second point of the money, power, wealth, fame thing, is you compare your life to these people's. And like I just said before, comparison is the thief of joy. And if you continue to compare yourself to people who are ruining their lives for clicks, you're going to want to do the same thing. And then you'll find yourself in mountains of financial debt and unable to get your life back together. And then my last point is it's too much information for a brain to handle, especially these short form content in reels. I can tell you just by how I feel mentally after a couple hours of scrolling, my brain feels fried. I feel like I just popped a bunch of pills and I'm like, I can't hold a conversation at that point. It makes me feel dumb. And that's just not good for you. Now, I think is the point where I want to get into why religiously I think it's bad and start to compare it to some biblical sins. And to start with, just like I stated before, it promotes lust and sexualizes women. And if you're a man, you do not need to be looking at half-naked women on TikTok and Instagram all day long. That's not good for your brain. It's not good for your libido or your natural reproductive system. And it's going to give you this false idea of what to look for in a woman. And most of these women, I mean, they're covered in plastic surgery and Botox and whatever to look so attractive for you online, and they're all like underweight and not eating and not healthy, and that's not what you should be looking for in a woman. And then it promotes worshiping false idols, so stuff like get rich quick guys, or I don't know how to say this without sounding like a liberal, because I'm not, but it promotes toxic masculinity, and yes, I do believe there is such thing as toxic masculinity. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a lift heavy, work hard, UFC fight loving, outdoors, mountain climbing, full grown man, but there are ways to promote masculinity that people online just do wrong, where they raise angry, lustful, gluttonous men. And that's what I think toxic masculinity is. And then it also promotes hookup culture, which is not something that we need. Hookup culture does not lead to a nice marriage, a good house, a couple kids, somewhere nice to come home to, a home-cooked meal. That's not what hookup culture leads to. Hookup culture leads to having sex with somebody for one night and then never talking to them again, which is sharing the most intimate form of connection with somebody and then just ghosting them, which is not healthy, can't be healthy, and I can tell you from experience, makes you feel like shit the next day. And then another sin that it promotes is greed, and it encourages you to want what other people have and not be satisfied with what you have. It's very hard when you're looking at this lavish life that people live online, where they're not working a 9-to-5 job, and they're not, like, struggling like the rest of us are. It makes you envy that and think, what do I have to do to get there? And let me tell you, even if you do get there, it's not going to fix your problems. The money won't, the fame won't. If anything, it's going to amplify your problems. And then again, it promotes laziness, which is a sin. And it just promotes you being addicted to scrolling all day long and not doing anything else good with your time, which is not what you want. And then it also encourages drama and promotes wrath. I mean, all you see is these dramatic videos of people getting in fights or drama blow up between influencers and all these people doing bad things. And that's just not something you need to ingest every day. And you don't need to relate to it. You don't need to think about it. It's better off, like, ignorance is bliss in that situation. But not all social media is bad. I will admit that. So I am okay with watching long form content on YouTube. I don't think that fries your brain receptors the same as a bunch of 30-second videos. It's like watching 130-second videos as an hour does. But it can be used for good. And the reasons I think it can be used for good and that I've seen it used for good is personally, I've seen it be used to spread the Gospels and introduce more young people to Christianity, which is why I think social media is one of the number one reasons we're seeing a Christianity revival within young people, which I will make another video on at some point. And it can be used to form communities and connections. Like, I know I became friends with people online when I was younger. I had a lot of online friends when I didn't really have friends in school. And that made me feel a lot more comfortable about myself and just gave me actual friends, and I didn't feel so lonely. And then it can also be used to promote good ideals and values. There's good people on there like Chris Williamson or Dwayne from Dry Creek Wrangler School, and other just smart people on there sharing their thoughts and trying to encourage the youth for good. And I think that is people that you should look up to if you're choosing to keep social media, is you should try to watch people who uplift you. And then lastly, it can be good for mass education. I mean, we've never had such access to so much information before, and it can be really helpful to mass educate the public on a topic so that they're not misinformed, which I think social media can be a very good tool for doing that. But overall, I think social media in today's age is not a good thing for our society. And I do recommend doing what I did and getting off Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter, and start watching long form content like YouTube or movies, and start reading books and picking up hobbies, and just look for alternatives to get off that damn phone and maybe see if you feel better about yourself. Anyways, that's all I gotta say today. Thanks for watching. If you guys want, you can check out my other YouTube channel, Joey Dora, or check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/JoeyDora. I stream most weeknights after like 6:30 p.m. EST. So I hope to catch you guys around. I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment down below if you got any other opinions or anything you want to talk about on this topic, and I'll make sure to reply. But I hope y'all have a blessed day. Thank you for listening.